Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The name is Ninja Knight. Make sure you like the video, make sure you share the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell up above. Thank you. So yesterday we had a tease from Hasbro that talked about the Transformers collaboration with Uncanny X-Men, and today we have a reveal. This is something I was very excited about yesterday, and I have to say I was extremely excited to see this again today because this to me looks absolutely fantastic. As someone who's been a fan of the collaborations with Ectotron, with Gigawatt, with Maverick, I am delighted to see Hasbro moving into uncharted territory and certainly using their brand to go into different lines and be able to create iconic characters, in my opinion, because this could actually stretch out, in my opinion, for their characters in the future. This is brilliant. So as we can see here, and I know that this has been a bit of a bone of contention amongst a lot of people, is the packaging. We've seen G1 packaging with Ectotron, we've seen it with Gigawatt, we didn't see it with Maverick, and it looks like we're not seeing it again here with X-Spanse, Ultimate X-Spanse I should say. So this might be a trend that Hasbro are going to move in. I suppose we'll wait and see. I'm actually not too bothered if they move away from the G1 packaging, because I think if they do something like this, I'm all for this. This looks absolutely excellent. It really pops, it really shines in my opinion. And I do understand for people that like the G1 packaging that they would like to have all of these characters in G1 packaging. If I was Hasbro, what would I be doing now? I'd be putting this guy into G1 packaging as well too. Make sure you're selling to both of the market, and it would increase those profits. So before we get started on this figure, I'm going to talk about the packaging. I love it. I like the fact that it has the Marvel Comics logo up here above, kind of like the old way we used to see them, particularly with the cartoons. And we can see here the X-Men logo, very reminiscent of the animated series look. And the characters here, as we can see on the side of the box, Wolverine and Sabretooth, look like they're heavily based on their X-Men animated series counterparts. What does that mean? Well, we've heard rumours of a possible revival there for the X-Men animated series, so maybe that this could be another way to promote that. I'm all for that. So as we can see here from the illustration on the side, I made kind of three wants that I would have liked with this character, and it seems like I've gotten all three of them. I am hyped by this. First of all is the head sculpt. It does have a visor that pops down, kind of reminiscent to Cyclops, one of my favourite X-Men. I'm delighted by this. It has a blue and yellow uniform with the X going across here. Something else that I would have liked to see, because that's very reminiscent of the X-Men with their uniforms. And the third thing that I wanted to see was maybe Wolverine claws, and it looks like we have those too, so I'm very excited by this guy. Here we have this blackboard, or I should say blue board as it's going to be, Jet, and this looks absolutely phenomenal. It also comes with accessories, and it's two little figures of Sabretooth and Wolverine. So I would love if Hasbro made more figures like these. Now these are what's called slug figures. These won't have articulation, but I think if Hasbro made Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Banshee, represent Ireland, and some of the other characters that they could have, the likes of Jean Grey, Storm, would be absolutely phenomenal to add on to this set in my opinion. Gambit, Rogue, Jubilee, Beast, they would be wonderful to add on to this set, I think. And if anybody out there in Hasbro is listening, do it. Make more little slug figures for this. This would be absolutely outstanding in my opinion. So as we can see here, he comes with three pink accessories, and we'll get into them now in a moment. But I have to say that packaging looked absolutely beautiful, so credit to whoever at Hasbro is working on the packaging for this guy. I love it. So here Transformers official says the Transformers collaborative presents the next exciting mashup. So as we can see here, they're focusing on the X word. Great stuff, and marketing here would be very proud of themselves, I'm sure. The iconic X-Jet from the X-Men animated series is now a Transformers robot called Ultimate X-Spanse. Now I'm a little bit of a fan of this name. I know an awful lot of people online are not. So what I'd like you to do is drop in the comments below, what would you have called this guy? Let me know your thoughts on what you would have called this guy. Or would you have liked to see this name and are happy enough with this name? What do you think? So they go on to say then, unlike the Sentinels, this robot is the ultimate mutant ally. Pre-order now at Target or at the following retailers on the 1st of the 3rd. Your local GameStop and Hasbro Pulse. So now for anybody that's overseas looking at this and that's not in America, you're thinking the exact same thing that I am, which is, how do I get it? GameStop's here in Ireland and in the majority of the UK and Europe Ireland is not part of the UK, just to be clear on that one. GameStops are absolutely useless here. Hasbro Pulse have a region lock on the USA and Canada. They will not let cards from outside the USA purchase there, and they will not ship outside of the USA. It's absolute madness. Target as well too are very difficult to deal with, and as in this moment, I'm not sure if they do ship to Ireland whatsoever. So there's 3 places now that it doesn't look like you're going to be able to get this figure, which is a bit of a bummer. I hope that Hasbro pull their socks up and start talking to some international retailers. I like the fact that they worked with Zavvi now in the past, and I think that is a good idea. If Zavvi were the ones to get this and they were able to put up pre-orders, absolutely fine. That's absolutely brilliant. Or if they would give them to some other retailers, that could also be a way for people to get them. But make sure that Hasbro know that you want to see these figures, particularly on this side of the pond. Let them know, because if you don't let them know, they'll think there's no sales there, and they need to be told on posts like this, hey, what about us over here? That would be my advice. And obviously, make sure you do it politely. So here we have the robot mode of this figure, and I have to say again, I made a couple of comments in the video that I had yesterday on this on what I'd like to see, and I've gotten them. As we can see here, he's in blue and yellow, a very classic X-Men outfit. I love the way the straps go across the body and turn into a big X logo. I love the details of the pouches and the belt that has an X logo. I'm a big fan of the head sculpt. I like the head sculpt. I like the fact that it has a flip down visor like Cyclops. I'm a big fan of that. He has 3 of these pink sort of plastic pieces that turn into what seems to be reminiscent of Wolverine's claws. Another thing I asked for, and I have to say I'm a big fan of those. As we can see here, he also has a energon blast or some sort of cannon blasting here, and that's kind of done in this pink sort of translucent, maybe purple sort of translucent plastic. We also see that plastic goes around Wolverine, which is pretty interesting to see rather than Sabretooth. You'd think if Ultimate X-Spanse was going to be firing at anybody, it would probably be Sabretooth. So I think that is quite curious. He does look quite heroic, so I would put it against this guy being a Decepticon. Now, with these sort of pink plastic things, a lot of people have drawn likelihoods to this maybe kind of being reminiscent to Psylocke's power. I think that this could be a culmination of maybe Psylocke's power and Gambit's. Gambit is another X-Men that I'm a big fan of, an X-Man I'm a big fan of, and I think you could draw those parallels between those, and I think that is a good idea that they try to stuff as many X-Men references into this guy as possible. We've seen it with Ectotron, we've seen it with Gigawatt, and we've seen it with Maverick, that they put a lot of references into the respectable media that those figures come from, and I'm a big fan of that. I think that's very much so respectful. As we can see here, we've the slug figures of Wolverine and Sabretooth. If I was Hasbro, or what I'm going to ask Hasbro is, do more. Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Banshee for the Irish. You got Gambit, Rogue, Jean Grey, Storm, Beast, Colossus. Again, I would love to see these characters be made into these slug figures so that you could have them around Ultimate X-Spanse. I would love to see that, and I'm sure other fans would too. Now, like I said, I love the detail on this, and looking back on this figure, it's hard to think that this guy is also sort of a very heavy retail, maybe remold of the Studio Series Jetfire figure. Now, this would be a leader class figure, and as we can see from the price point on this guy, he is quite high, in and around $60 odd, and that is generally a leader class price point. I was asking this and suggesting this on the video that I posted yesterday, that the X-Jet would be quite large. I was thinking maybe it could have been a Titan class, however it's a leader class, and I suppose that's good enough. That's okay, because the scaling in this line, I suppose one way or another you could look at it, maybe stuff is to scale and maybe it's not. I suppose we'll get to see that when you stand X-Spanse beside Ectotron and Gigawatt. They have talked that they would like to scale these characters, so whether it's their vehicle modes that they're scaling or their robot modes that they're scaling, I'm curious to see what happens with this one. As we can see here, he has this kind of visor. I think that this is fantastic, and it flips down and he has sort of a Cyclops visor, very reminiscent of the X-Men's leader. I love that. I think that is a very cool look. Here we can see it in the alternate mode. I love that it has the X printed on the wings here, and I think overall the paint job on this looks really, really cool. It is very similar to what we've seen on the animated series, and it's also very similar to what we've seen in the comics as well too before. I love the different colours that they've used on this. They have reds, they have blues, they have yellows, and they also have then the landing gear. Now that's probably going to be in a flat kind of matte grey, but I think that this looks absolutely stunning. This would look really cool transformed into the alternate mode and maybe flying overhead of some people's Marvel Legends shelves. I think that this would be very cool. So as you can see here, we can see the other accessories that this guy comes with. It does sort of form these blades, which I think is very cool. This one here is a bit of a strange accessory in itself. I would have liked to see maybe a giant card, sort of reminiscent of Gambit, that maybe he could have in his hand that would look like he was throwing. I think that would have been cool, but I suppose it can't be too greedy. And here we go. For me, this is one of the better shots of this character. It looks like that there's a lot of kibble on it. I think he'd be able to fold this down and it would streamline it an awful lot more. But as you can see here, it looks like he has Wolverine's claws. He has those 3 claws in his left hand. On his right hand here, he has the blast effects, and that looks like it could double for a sword in a way. We'll wait and see. It also looks like that he could be firing something similar to the way Gambit is. And I suppose we'll wait and see if they have any sort of promotional material or media that might come along with this guy. I'm a big fan of the head sculpt, like I said, and the visor flipping down. I absolutely love. Very reminiscent of the X-Men's leader Cyclops. So ultimately and overall, I'm very excited for this guy. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see if Hasbro pull the finger out and if they get somebody overseas to be able to stock this, or if they're going to just wait and see, and eventually then people overseas here are going to have to go and look on eBay, unfortunately. People overseas here have had this problem with the Power Rangers Lightning Collection line. We've had to look at the Psycho Green Ranger that was only released on Hasbro Pulse that fans over here couldn't get. We've had to look at Zordon and Alpha that was released, I think, in Walmart that fans over here couldn't get. The numerous Target exclusives that have been released now over the last couple of weeks, months, years, fans over here couldn't get. And at this stage, it's a little bit frustrating, given that I've put so much into being involved with this collaboration line, and given the fact that I'm a huge X-Men fan. I can't understand why Hasbro are limiting themselves to working with Target. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, what could have happened is, because to take a rational experience from it, when you look at the likes of the Ghostbusters Ectotron, an awful lot of people did wait for that to go on to discount. What I'm going to say is this, and I know an awful lot of people wouldn't like to hear it. If you like these figures, purchase them. Don't wait for them to go on deep discount. If you're waiting for these to go on deep discount, even though you like the figure, you're kind of sending a message to the company of like, yeah, I don't think it's worth that. And whilst you're very much so entitled to do with your money, for me, because we never get discounts here in Ireland, it's either buy it at full price or miss out on it. And I think, unfortunately, this is what's happened. It's happened with the rest of the world kind of bearing the brunt of this sort of idea of these things don't sell. These things will sell if Hasbro actually push these into marketing and push these into shop stores and shelves and to stores over here in Ireland and the rest of Europe and the rest of the world, of course. So I would just encourage everybody, try to get these as much as possible as you can. If you're a retailer that's listening from overseas, try your best to get these guys in, and you will see people support this. You will see people wanting to buy this. I'm sure Marvel Legends fans would be interested in this. I'm sure Marvel fans would be interested in this. I'm sure X-Men fans particularly would be interested in this. And I'm sure Transformers fans would be very much so into this. There's a lot of sales to be made there. Don't be silly as a company and limit yourself to one place and then limit yourself to 2 further places, one of which looks like it's in trouble in GameStop with the sort of financial stuff that's been going on with there recently. And then you have Hasbro Pulse, which is locked down to everybody outside of the USA and Canada. So I don't really understand that decision. If anybody at Hasbro is there that is involved with these decisions or would like to talk to me, I'm always available. I'm at Twitter on _Ninja Knight. Hit me up, let me know. I'd love to talk to you and ask politely, of course, why these decisions get made and how can they be changed. How can we as fans make a stand and say to you, yes, we want that. Now what I'm going to say to you is, if you're listening to this as a fan, post in these comments politely, tag them and say to them, hey, I'm in this country, we would love to get this. Let them know, because the more people that tell them, hey, we want these overseas, the more they'll listen and say, well, actually, do you know what? We do have fans that are over there. We do have fans that are interested in this product. We do have fans that will purchase this. I'd purchase 2 of these if these were available here in Ireland. 2 of them. One to have in the packaging and one to display in robot mode. That would be what I would do. That's 2 sales. Easy, at full price that I would buy them at. That's the choices that a company like this has to make. And in these times, why not make these choices? Why not push this stuff further out around the world and make sure that this stuff sells? That would be my suggestion. Anyway, I think that this looks an absolutely brilliant figure. I'm very excited to see what comes in the future in this collaboration line. I think that this has just opened itself up to many other collaborations. We know at Hasbro, they have G.I. Joe. We know that they have Star Wars. And we know that those two properties have so many different vehicles that they could work from if they decided to. Now what I'm going to suggest one more thing. And Hasbro, if you are listening, we need some Decepticons in this line. We need some bad guys. So I know with these collaborations, I know often a lot of companies probably don't want their characters or their vehicles being bad guys, but please give us some Decepticons for these guys to fight against. Even use some of the Cobra vehicles. I think that that would be a fantastic idea. If you were to do Knight Rider, a positive good guy character in Knight Rider, and then you could have an alternate villain then in Car, voiced by the great Peter Cullen, no less. So I think that those could be good ideas. But what this line needs now, in my opinion, is they need some Decepticon love. And Decepticons would be very much so appreciated by the fans. And it would be able to fight against these guys, particularly with these sort of alternate real world cartoon vehicles. This is an interesting step as well too, in terms of they're going with an animated look. They're going with an animated vehicle. This opens this up to so much more. And I am very excited to see what Hasbro do with this in the future. There is many vehicles that they could run with this one. Look, I think the most obvious one, if you're going to do an animated series vehicle, is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Party Wagon. That would be something everyone would like to see. Now, how would we see that? Well, we do have a little thing called Boom Studios. We do have a little thing called Power Rangers that have worked with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before. They've worked with them in space, in the Power Rangers in Space series. They're also working with them in the comics, in the Boom Studios comics. Maybe there might be some wiggle room to do something with that. That would be brilliant. And I'm telling you now, a lot of fans would like to see that. But going back on this, I think that this looks like a brilliant figure. I love the details. I love the fact that it is sort of paying homage to an awful lot of X-Men characters, particularly 3, maybe 4. And I love the colours of this figure. Make this available worldwide. Do a Hasbro. We're all looking forward to it. Let me know what you think in the comments about this. Are you as big a fan about this as I am? Or would you have liked to see maybe a Titan class version of this character? Something I suggested actually in yesterday's video. And I think a Titan class collaboration would be absolutely insane. I like the fact that Hasbro have been going Voyager, Deluxe, Voyager, Leader now. They're starting to grow and expand now in what they would like to see. Do you feel like they might do the same? Do you feel like we might get to a time where we might get a collaboration of a Titan class? And if we did, who do you think would be a great Titan class figure? What do you think of this character sort of paying homage to multiple X-Men characters with the way it looks and the way it is designed? Are you as big a fan of that as I am? What do you think of the colour scheme? Do you like the way it is in blue and yellow and red, and it has the black on it as well too, very reminiscent of an X-Men uniform? What do you think of the Slug figures that are in this pack as well too, with Wolverine and Sabretooth? Which other Slug figures would you like to see that they could involve in maybe in the future in sort of an X-Men mini pack, or maybe with some Marvel Legend figures? You could have some of these mini Slug figures that you could put along with this. The options are endless in my opinion, particularly for this line. I'm excited to see what they do going forward with this one. There's many things they can do. It's opened up a Pandora's box in my opinion in terms of what they can do. Very excited for this. I'm going to leave the video there. Make sure you like the video, make sure you share the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. This is the Ninja Knight. Talk to you later. Good luck.